Namaskar to all of you, and welcome to our next session on the Yogic Live. So we were actually talking about Satvik Ahar. We have a few more points before we can conclude on the topic and move on to the next one. So just to reiterate, we're talking about that raw vegetables have a lot of benefit for us, and anytime you replace the raw vegetables with company products, then you are essentially cheating your body, right? Your body is the vehicle in which you have to spend your life, and if you're not giving the body the right, you're not giving the vehicle the right fuel, then it is not going to run properly. If you give the foil, the body kerosene instead of gasoline, then you are actually cheating your body. So you need to give proper fuel for the body to run properly, right? You want to give the body the best fuel so that we can make it run properly. So that what is our ultimate goal is, our ultimate goal is to understand the Manav Dharma, so that we can engage in sadhana and do yogasanas and do every aspect of the yogic life, so that we can have the agragati, and also the mind will be very, very sharp. We have a lot of work that we do in the mundane world, and even then the mind will be sharp when you engage in the yogic life. Not only sharp now, even when you reach like 60, 65, 70, or even up to the age of 100, right? There will be zero incidence of dementia. Nobody actually should have dementia in this world, right? So a lot of people lose their memories. This happens, and as you get older, these things happen. So when you engage in the yogic life and eat the right kind of food and do yogasanas and engage in sadhana, all those things will help you get not only proper health, also to avoid all these issues, the health related issues like dementia, also lifestyle related issues. The same thing with cancer, high blood pressure, and all of this, right? All of these things are because of feeding the body kerosene instead of gasoline, feeding the body wrong food. If you give proper food to the body, then it will run properly. And so it is very important, you have to watch out what you put in your mouth, right? Not how it tastes. What you put in your mouth, is it good for my body? That thought should always be there. Nobody should be getting the chronic degenerative diseases like high blood pressure, cholesterol, high cholesterol, diabetes, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's. All these things, they are coming in the same category. So if you eat the yogic food, you are not going to get any of these. Your mind will be very active. People say that, oh, all these diseases actually run in my family. So that is actually nonsense. It is not there in the genes. What actually runs in the family is the way you eat, and it is not in your genes. So these are not inherited from these diseases are not inherited from the genes, right? That is, if you say these are inherited from the genes, then it is essentially you're actually levying an accusation against Paramapurusha, the Buddhi behind this universe, who designed this universe, that hey Paramapurusha, you designed these bodies imperfectly. But that is not the case. Our ancestors have been eating wrongly, they have been eating wrong food, so we continue to follow, and we are actually even doing worse than them. So and it is because of that the cancer runs in the family. It is because of that the diabetes runs in the family. It is because of that the high blood pressure runs in the family. It is not because of the genes. The body is perfect. It is properly designed, beautifully designed. Nobody gets these in the genes. What they have inherited from the family is the way of eating, and not the genes. The genes are all fine, nothing wrong with the genes. So the problem is with the food. That is the number one. So we also talked about the company products, right? So anything that has a label with ingredients, we should not go near them, right? So when you go to the supermarket, or when you go to the store, just make sure you go only to the aisle where you have fruits and vegetables and grains, and don't even go near other aisles where you have the company products. Only when you go there you have the attraction to buy them, right? So also there can be a question, what about like when we talk about no sugar, no oil, no salt, the question that comes to is, can we use jaggery, right? Instead of sugar, can we use jaggery? So the thing is that jaggery is also a refined product, right? It is not coming straight from the plant. People actually think it is better than the sugar, but it is not actually true. Right? It is also a refined product. It is also not a natural product. It goes through a refining process, right? So in a day there is only like certain number of calories that we can eat, and we should utilize those calories for our nutritional benefit, right? So when we include whole food plant-based diet, then all the calories that we get from that will be really really very nutritional, right? When you talk about the spinach and when you talk about the whole foods as they come from the field, right, they are the ones that uh, right. And if you want to eat something sweet, you can always eat a fruit or you know yeah, a mango or a grapes or something like that. That is really sweet. So instead of that, if you use the jaggery or the molasses, that is also a refined product, right? So when you are wanting to eat something sweet, right, you always have fruits like bananas are very sweet, mangoes are very sweet. These are all very naturally sweet things, right? So we have to divert our mind from these things and start thinking about Paramapurusha, because the ultimate goal of our life is Paramapurusha. So anything that is not natural, that is going through a factory process, whatever it may be, right, they don't have any nutritional value for us. So so we are replacing all those things with healthy foods, right? So whatever that may be. So so that is what I wanted to say. And also uh, so also one other thing is that if you want to eat really something sweet, you can actually eat the whole sugar cane, right? Instead of going through this process of extracting molasses and converting it to jaggery and all that, instead of that you can just eat the whole sugar cane if that is available, right? So the eating whole sugar cane has a lot of nutritional value compared to uh, eating jaggery or some other refined product. Okay. uh, So, and also I just want to reiterate on the restaurant, right? Restaurant foods. So same thing with the company, just like the company products, with the restaurants also, we should not go to restaurants. We should avoid restaurants. These people we don't know what is there in their mind when they're making the food. So don't take food from anybody except somebody you know is sattvic, because if you eat food anywhere and everywhere, then that kind of food, your body is going to be made of that food. Your cells in the body are going to be made of that food, and that can have tamasic impact on your body or rajasic impact on your body. You don't want to take from food from anybody except somebody you know who is a sattvic person, somebody who is involved in spiritual life, somebody who is thinking about Paramapurusha. Right? If you are very serious in this path, then you will be very cautious about it. Somebody who is ideating in brahmacharya, right? Brahmacharya means that this entire universe is a manifestation of Paramapurusha. So somebody who is thinking like that, somebody who is ideating on Paramapurusha and who is preparing the food with deep love for Paramapurusha, then when you take that kind of food, then it will have a very positive impact on your body. And even when you make the food, you should have this ideation on Paramapurusha when you make the food, that you have to have the ideation that you're making this food for Paramapurusha, and you're actually feeding Paramapurusha. So when you have that kind of ideation, so the food that you eat will become amritam. It will become very good for will be very good for your body, right? So the people in the restaurants who make the food, they don't care about your health. Just like company products, the vibration is not good. So same thing with the restaurant food, right? So you should stay away from restaurants, stay away from company products. So that I wanted to reiterate. And also finally on this is that what should we be actually eating? So just to summarize, that we should be eating fruits, vegetables, grains and beans. No onion, garlic, mushroom, or any meat, fish, chicken, or any non-vegetarian food. The best food for us is raw fruits and vegetables. That is the best. And beans and grains, uh, beans and grains we cannot eat raw. We have to cook them. You have to cook those things like beans and grains, unless like you sprout unless you sprout the beans, right? Some of them you can actually sprout like moong sprouts. They're all very good for you. So right, so where you can sprout, if there's a possibility of sprouting, you can always try that. Those are very, very good for you. Like moong sprouts are very easy to make, right? Eating the sprouted moong dal is very, very good. It's very beautiful, right? So any of those things that you can sprout, you can actually sprout them. But then when you actually cook all of that, right, the living things that you cook, then you're going to destroy all the nutrients. It's not living anymore. So where possible, maximum you should eat 100% raw. Where it is not possible, then you can cook. So let's say that it is said that human beings have a capacity to live for 100 years on this earth, right? So if you have the capacity to live 100 years on this earth, then you have to eat healthy food. You don't want to, like, let's say your lifespan is 100 years, and let's say from 70 years to 70 years to 100 years you're lying on the bed. Then what is the point of such a life, right? So so the many of the foods that you really thought were very, very tasty, right? But somebody now who is 90 years old, they're sitting around and remembering about, like, oh, 20 years I had all that meal, wow, that was really great. They're just remembering about the food that they had 20 years back, right? Somebody has a question. Sharada Bhagni, you have a question? Sharada Bhagni, you have a question? I can't hear you. Okay, I'm going to mute you. Okay, so I was just saying that there's no point of just remembering those things that you feel that you, like, let's say 70 years you're having all kinds of diseases, and then you're remembering of your past thing, and you're saying, oh, I used to eat this and I used to eat that, now I'm not able to eat that, and you're just whining about it. Then what is the point? There's no point about it, right? So so we should be doing all that. So the lasting thing, what when we are talking about food, is that the lasting value is that the food is raw fruits and vegetables, because it gives you the energy. It protects against cancer. It has a lot of antioxidants, has thousands of other things. So so without going into the science, but so essentially raw fruits and vegetables, if it's sprouted bean or seed, they have so many things that have so much of value for you. So that is the best food, even though it may not sound attractive. But if you start eating that way, you will realize that it is profoundly attractive, and it will completely change your entire existence. It will completely change your existence, and to be, because that is our body is designed for eating that kind of food, right? Our body is actually designed for eating that kind of food. Right, we have to eat the food that we are designed for, and this is the food for every human being, not only a yogi. When we say yogi, we are all yogis. So it is the food for everybody, all of us are yogis. This class is of yogis. You've all come here for a reason, right? You've come here because you want to know how the yogic life is, and you want to implement it. It is not just a curiosity, and it is not just a knowledge, a superficial knowledge that you come here to, or just say, oh, how did the yogis of the past live? I just want to understand. No, that is not why we have come here. We have come here for a purpose. We have come here to see how we can implement these things in our life, so that our life becomes better, right? So a yogi does not have to be somebody who is in the the orange colored clothes in a sannyasi vesha, right? So, or living in a Himalayas. So it's not like that. So everybody, whether you are single, you are married, you have kids, whatever you may, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing, but we can live the life of a yogi, right? So all of us can live the life of a yogi. Whatever you may be doing, you might be working, whatever it might be, but still you can do this. You can adopt the yogic lifestyle. So we have to eat this kind of sattvic ahar, and we all have to try to implement it and think about it in a positive way. right? It will change your life. You have to actually try it out to see how it changes your life, right? The cooked food is especially the greens and beans, the grains and beans, they're very very constipating. Therefore when you eat the grains and beans, you shouldn't be eating a whole huge mountain of them and only with very little vegetables. You need to eat small quantity of rice and beans with a large quantity of vegetables. So that is very important part of our body function for digestion, right? Food should not be constipating, particularly white rice. It's extremely constipating. So you have to, you just don't want to eat anything, right? After you eat rice, you don't want to eat anything else. You just have a meal just with rice, right? Then it's just it's so heavy, right? So so then your digestion is also very slow. So actually when you wake up in the morning, you should immediately empty your bowels, right? That indicates that you are healthy, right? That indicates that your digestion is happening properly, right? But if you're constipated, then it is telling you that your diet is not proper. If you're constipated and you're not able to empty your bowel in the morning, then it indicates that your food, the foods that you're taking, are not good. So right, so some people, they eat and they are not able to empty the bowels for weeks together, right? That is completely unhealthy, right? So there are different degrees of constipation. So your diet should be such a way that you're not feeling constipated. So when you wake up in the morning, you should not feel constipated. You must be able to empty your bowels in a proper manner. So clear out your bowels. That's very important part of your digestion, right? So if it is not happening right away in the morning, that means you are constipated. So if you have to drink water before you have to go to the bathroom in the morning in order to stimulate emptying your bowels, then that is a proof that that the digestion, the digestive system is not working properly. That means the foods that you're taking are not proper. So so when you have raw foods and vegetables, the digestion is very very quick. It is very quick, and emptying your bowels just happens so naturally that it even happens multiple times in a day. You eat the food and it is quickly digested, right? So the digestion is very very important part, because from the stomach you can have disease in other parts of the body as well. It's so have a lot of fruits and vegetables, and right. So that is what I wanted to say. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so we can actually move on now. So that actually wraps up the sattvic ahar. So I want all of you to experiment and see how it is impacting you, right? You have to try it at least for a week. You have to try it out initially and see how it is. Only then you can decide whether this is good or not, right? So I encourage all of you to try it out. So then let us now move forward. So we were actually talking about what is the goal of yoga, right? So we said how human beings are different from animals is that we have an infinite desire. We have the desire to seek the infinite, right? We have human beings have two dharmas, the pashu dharma and the manava dharma, which is to seek the infinite. We have evolved from animals, so therefore we have the pashu dharma also, and we also have the human dharma. So we have this infinite desire within us, all of us. That is why when we see a huge mountain or an ocean or a lake or big trees, we get so attracted by them that the desire to attain the infinite is evoked in us. And right, so we have this infinite desire, and we try to apply this infinite desire because of our pashu dharma. We try to apply this in all the aspects, in all the different spheres of life, whichever it is. Whether when we're working and making money, we want to make more money. When we are investing in stock, we want to invest more stock. When we are buying clothes, we want to buy a lot of it. We are not satisfied. When we eat, we want to eat more than what we require. So in every sphere of life, we have this this infinite, because of this infinite desire, and when we apply because of the Pashu Dharma, we are applying it to all the finite things, and from the finite things we are trying to get the infinite happiness, and that is not happening, and that is why we remain unsatisfied throughout our life. So when the human beings realize, when their inner eyes open and they realize that the ultimate goal of life is to attain the infinite, and when they get the strong desire to attain the infinite, then that is when they will engage in this path, in this yogic path, to seek the infinite. So we said the yoga is actually the union of the finite with the infinite. So yoga has ramifications not only in the individual life, but also it has ramifications in every sphere of life, whether it is economic, political, social, individual, collective, right? So far we have been talking about the impact of yoga on our individual life. We talked about how asanas are important. We talked about how yogic food is important, right? We have few more aspects at the individual level. We'll talk about those, and then we will move on to the collective life. Our every moment of our life should be directed towards that very goal. We should always be conscious of this goal. What is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is not to make a lot of money, right? That is not our ultimate goal. There are only two things, that either you're going to go in this direction of seeking the infinite, you're going to go in the spiritual path, or you're not going to go in that path. There are only two options, and 99.99% of the people unknowingly end up spending their life moving away from this goal, not realizing what the Manav Dharma is, not realizing what the ultimate goal of life is, right? So we let us talk about the infinite and the consciousness. The yogi lives in the world, right? He lives in the world. A person who is engaged in this yogic life, he lives in the world, but his mind is ensconced in the thought of the infinite. His mind is engrossed in the thought of the infinite consciousness. So when we say infinite consciousness, so why is it infinite and why is it consciousness? So we already talked about infinite. That is that infinite, seeking the infinite is the dharma of human beings, is the unique nature of human beings. The unique nature of human beings is to seek the infinite. So we cannot be satisfied by any material object in this world, and that is the reason we keep running after those things. Our goal of life is to seek the infinite, knowingly or unknowingly, right? We are all going in that direction. So when we talk about the infinite, there can only be one infinite, not two, not five, or not six, or not 100. There can only be one infinite. If there were more than one infinite thing, then none of them could be infinite, because in order to have infinity, there cannot be anything outside of that, right? There can only be one infinite thing, and that infinite thing that we seek, because that is our dharma. So those who are living a true human life, those who are engaged in this human dharma, they live their life in search of that infinite. And as a yogi, that search is very, very scientific, means it's quite a methodical search. So infinite consciousness, we talked about infinite. Now why consciousness, right? That the answer is that nothing can be infinite except for chaitanyam, except for consciousness. The consciousness is the only thing that can be infinite. Nothing can be anadi ananta except for consciousness, except for chaitanya, except for Paramapurusha. So there is one consciousness which is infinite, which is guiding this entire universe, and it is also guiding all of us. It's guiding me, it is guiding you, it is guiding each one of us at every minute of our life, right? So keeping the mind involved in that very entity as we live our daily lives, attending to our mundane duties in this world, right, with the mind living in connection with that supreme infinite consciousness, that is the yogic life. That is the yogic life. What is yogic life? Why are we engaged in sattvic ahar? Why are we engaged in asanas? Why are we engaged in all the different yoga angas? Is because we want to live every minute of our day keeping our mind engrossed in the supreme infinite consciousness, and that is the essence of yogic life. and we do sadhana. Everything that we do is for that, to keep our mind engrossed in the supreme consciousness. That is yogic life. Everything we do in this yogic life, we do with this goal in mind only, right? We are living in this world. We are not running into some cave in the Himalayas. We are living in this world, right? So it is understood that if people understand that, I cannot engage in this yogic life, I have to run away to some cave in the Himalayas, I have to be isolated. As long as I'm in this world, in the samsara, there is no way I can engage in the yogic life, because the samsara pulls me down, right? I have the day-to-day tasks. I have take care of my kids. I have to do this. I have to go to my office. I have to listen to my boss. I have a lot of chores in the house. I have a lot of responsibilities. It is all there, right? So that does not mean that to engage in the yogic life you have to run away to some cave, right? So that is not what it is. It's not like sannyasi, they're just being a recluse, running away from the world. No, the yogic life is to live in this world, right? You live in this world, you do your day-to-day activities, but you keep your mind involved in that parabrahma. Keep your mind involved in that brahma bhava always, right? That is the spirit of yogic life, not going away to some caves and saying I'm going to sit there and do meditation. No, even if you go to the caves, if your mind is not engrossed or ensconced in Paramapurusha, then even there you will be thinking about the finite things of the world. You might be living in the cave, but still even there you'll be thinking about money, you will be thinking about your family, you will be thinking about everything that is there in the material world, right? Your mind will be yearning to have those enjoyments, right, which they are thinking as enjoyments. No, a yogic life is the essence of yogic life is to live in this material world, but have the mind not tainted by this material world, to have that vairagya bhava, not to be colored by this world, not to be colored by the objects of this world, not to be attracted by the objects of the world, because you have a deeper attraction, to Paramapurusha by giving something more beautiful, giving something more attractive. Just like a child, right? If it is playing with car keys, right? If you ask the child to give it, it will not give it to you. It is so engrossed in playing with the car keys. But if you give the child something more attractive, if you give it something, if you give it an more attractive toy, then the child will throw the car keys away and it'll take that new toy. Same way, as long as we don't know what our human dharma is, we are so attracted to everything in this world. We give so much of importance to the taste. We like this food, we like that food, we want to go to this restaurant, we want to go there, we want to go to some place, we want to enjoy. This life is for enjoyment. That kind of feeling we have, because that is what we know. We don't know anything better, right? But when we get something, then the attraction to Paramapurusha is so strong. When that attraction to Paramapurusha develops, right, then what happens? You automatically give up these things without any difficulty. No difficulty. You will not feel the pain. Then when you don't get something attractive, and then when you want to give this up, then you have the pain in your heart, you have the pain in your mind. You'll be like, oh my God, my life is miserable, I don't want to live anymore, right? That kind of feeling you get. But when you get something, when you get a better toy, when you get something more attractive, then you automatically give up these material things without any pain. And how do you get that attraction for Paramapurusha? Is by engaging in this yogic life. By engaging in this yogic life, your mind will get elevated. It will not get degraded. So in order to elevate the mind, these are all the things, small things that you have to do. You have to implement. When you implement all these things in your life, then automatically your mind gets elevated. Your mind will never fall, right? Whatever may be the situation in your life, your mind will never fall. Your mind will always be positive, right? Then what happens? You're able to handle any situation in this life without feeling depressed, right? Without your mind getting degraded. You are able to handle everything in this world with a positive frame of mind, and also progressing in the spiritual path, right? So all that is possible, this attraction to Paramapurusha. Although we have this inherent attraction to Paramapurusha, but because we are clouded by these worldly attractions, we have not realized that we have this inherent attraction to Paramapurusha, and how do we remove this cover which is covering us, which is kind of suppressing our attraction, all these material things. So how do we again get this attraction to Paramapurusha, which is actually our swabhava, is by engaging in this yogic life. When you engage in this yogic life, slowly what happens, your mind gets detached from all of these things. You don't have to do much, you just have to engage in this yogic life continuously, and you will see that your mind is slowly getting detached from all of these things in the world, and it is elevating and it is getting attracted to Paramapurusha. Then automatically you will be engaging more and more in sadhana. It is a very natural process. You don't have to you don't have to take a lot of effort. It's not like you have to do a lot of force yourself and all that. None of that. When you engage in this yogic life, slowly your mind will automatically get attracted towards Paramapurusha. You will slowly witness yourself that how your mind is no longer attracted towards going to the shop, doing shopping, purchasing, all that. None of that. Your mind is completely in a different track, right? So that is only possible. Elevation of the mind is possible by engaging in this yogic life, right? So it systematically develops your mind. It very systematically develops your mind, and day by day you will see that there are changes, there are positive changes in your mind. So that is why we have to realize what our ultimate goal of life is and engage in that spiritual path. Have that Brahma bhava always, every minute of the day. Have that Brahma bhava. So as you think, so you become, right? When you have constantly, when you are engrossed in the thoughts of Parabrahma, then automatically you become that Parabrahma, right? So we want to become that Parabrahma. So with that goal in mind, we have to engage in this yogic life. So people actually ask, this is so difficult path, right? Such is so difficult, I'm not able to do. I'm able to do it only one day, and then 2 days I'm not able to do it. Again my mind is attracted towards that. Is that initially? Yes, initially it is difficult. We have to use force, we have to use discipline to get on this track. Once you get on this track, and once you are from the from initially from force, from discipline, then abhyasa, and then finally it becomes your habit, it becomes your swabhava. So when it becomes your swabhava, then everything is natural, and then no longer your mind is attracted to the crude things of this world. Your mind is now no matter what is kept in front of you, the things that you used to enjoy so much, the things that you used to love so much, is no longer attractive, because now your mind has, your body has realized, your mind has realized that is not what you want. Your body knows now what it wants, right? So it is very, very natural. Like all those things which are deep fried and everything that you used to enjoy so much, slowly that naturally that attraction will go away when you continuously engage in this life, right, in this yogic life. So that is what I wanted to say. This particular slide, can Chandrasekhar Mohdaya, can you summarize?
No, I will try, Bhayani. So the whole goal of human life is to seek the infinite, and that's the Manava Dharma beyond the Pashu Dharma that everyone has. And so we should seek the infinite. And how do you go about doing that? And it plays, I'm not sure whether this one reflects that, but the yogic ahara keeps the mind sharp, and the yogic life keeps the mind um, uh, focused on this infinite consciousness. So the ahara and yogic life gives the mind that ability to focus on the infinite consciousness all the time. That's even in your day-to-day life. As you are involved in your daily routines, you should constantly be thinking about the infinite consciousness in your mind, and the mind should have this Brahma Bhava all the time. And if you have that Brahma, and that's what is going to, be the goal of human life, and that's what you will accomplish by following the yogic life. That the Brahma Bhava will come so naturally, um, if you follow that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I could go on, but that's the
Yeah.
gist of what we talked about.
Yes, yes, very, very nice, Maurya. Thank you. That is exactly what we talked about. Yes. So the our unique nature of human beings is to seek the infinite, and in order to engage in in this path, this spiritual path, we have to engage in this yogic life, which will help us to naturally progress in the spiritual life, right? And so yogic life is to live in this world with the mind involved in that Brahma Bhava always, right? We are living in this mundane world, but our mind is involved in that Brahma Bhava always. Okay. So moving on, so we have been using the term Parama Purusha, right? Parama Purusha. So we are living in this world, and the mind is involved with Parama Purusha, with that infinite entity. Parama Purusha means that infinite entity is Parama Purusha. Purusha means consciousness. Purusha is consciousness. Parama Purusha is that infinite consciousness. uh, so that is the goal of human life. When we get involved in that, we experience something called as ananda. We experience bliss. So just engaging in this yogic life gives you that bliss. Engaging in this yogic life gives you the bliss. It's not that, at the end of it, when you realize parama purusha, that is when you're going to get ananda. It is not like that, right? Just engaging in this yogic life is full of bliss. It is very, very happy, because your mind is slowly detaching from the material things, right? You see the actual swarup of everything. So then your mind is no longer getting, sad. The sadness is completely gone. The sadness is gone. Don't get sad for anything, right? So then you're automatically you're enjoying bliss. You're enjoying ananda. So that is the speciality of the yogic life, is that you're getting ananda just by engaging in that process. It is not that ultimately when you realize Parama Purusha, you're going to get that ananda, you're going to get that ultimate happiness. No, it is just engaging in this yogic life, you get happiness. It doesn't need to have the full realization of that entity in order to realize bliss in the life. Bliss or ananda, one begins to experience bliss or ananda the moment one gets involved in this life, in this yogic life, which is essentially dedicated to that realization of Parabrahma, right? Just involvement in that very endeavor, because this is what is human dharma. This is why we have been born in this world. This is what is human dharma. When you are involving in that very endeavor, then you start getting ananda. That is what is the nature of the human being. It is to seek the infinite. So when we involve ourselves in that endeavor, that simple involvement, that effort, that prayasa, right, that chesta that we do, that itself brings bliss in the life. It brings an enduring positivity, such that the mind can never get negatively affected by what's going on in life. There may be different things going on in life, right? uh, people who are connected with you, your family or your job, you might have different things going on which can potentially negatively impact your mind, but your mind will never get impacted negatively, because engaging in this making that effort and engaging in this yogic life brings that bliss in you, and you're no longer, your mind is negatively impacted, right? In the superficial life, there are like all different kinds of events, all kinds of things that happen, right? Nobody is an exception. Everybody has to go through this sukha dukkha. No one is an exception. Every single one of us have to go through the sukha and dukkha. And going through all these kinds of events, some of them maybe from a relative perspective be good, some of them may be giving you sukha, and some of them may be bad, some of them may be giving you dukkha, some of them may bring dukkha, right? But a yogi who is involved in this yogic life, he will never get affected by those things, because the mind is involved with that supreme consciousness, with that infinite entity. And And because of that involvement, that relationship with Parama Purusha, with that supreme consciousness, the mind remains, sthira. The mind remains stiram. It never gets affected by what is happening in the world. It remains unaffected. So the yogi, he lives in the world, but the mind is involved with that Parabrahma, with that Parama Purusha, right? That is the yogic life, and it is the life of bliss. It is a life of Ananda. It is a life of Ananda. The yogic life is a life of Ananda. Just engaging in this, making the prayasa, just engaging in this yogic life, it is a life of bliss. It is a life of Ananda, right? Okay. So, Priya Bhagini, do you want to summarize what we've talked in the slide? Astiva Bhagini.
Bhagini. Namaskara, Bhagini.
Namaskar.
So we were talking about how first, Mahoday, I may not summarize well, but I will try. So we were first we had spoken about how every aspect of our life should be touched by the Parama Purusha. So one of the reasons why we do not eat food from outside is that food, when they do there, whoever it is, whether it is a hotel or whether it is a marriage or whether it is even relatives house, sometimes what happens is the food that is created, most often than not, is not done with the connection to the Parabrahman. And so this so then we how do we so when we cook our food also, we must constantly have a connection with the Parabrahman. So what is the Purusha, or what does it mean? It means that it's a supreme consciousness, and it is the Parama Purusha is an infinite consciousness, full of Ananda, full of Satchit Ananda. And so our main aim in life is to be connected to that supreme consciousness, and it is on a daily basis, in all aspects of life we should connect. So it is not just for the while cooking, but also while eating, while doing any work. We always do it for that Parama Purusha, and that is when the vibrations that you were talking about, that changes. So when we start constantly constantly doing things like this, when we are constantly involved in such a way that every aspect of our life we involve, when we do it with that thought and with that aim in life, then only then we can experience bliss. And one yogic, so when in yogic life, that is the aim, that is to be constantly connected to the supreme Brahman.
Yes,
and
very. Do you want to say something?
No, Bhagini, that's it. So that is then we experience Ananda.
Yeah. So yes. So the thing is that the key point over here is that the moment you get involved in this yogic life, which is dedicated to the realization of infinite, one gets Ananda. One experiences Ananda. The mind never gets negatively impacted. So it is not that you have to ultimately realize the infinite by doing sadhana, right? Of course we have to do sadhana, but it is just engaging in this whole process of yogic life, you start experiencing Ananda. Your mind never gets affected by whatever is happening in your life, whatever it may be, right? There are a lot of events that happen in the life, but your mind never gets affected by any of those events, irrespective of all the sukha and dukkha that you have in your life on a day-to-day basis. Your mind never gets impacted by it, right? So when your mind never gets impacted by negatively by all of those things, then you have that capacity to handle everything in a most efficient manner, right? So you're able to proceed further in your spiritual life irrespective of whatever is happening in your life. So that is the strength you get from engaging in yogic life. Okay. So moving on, right? So we said the yogic lifestyle, right? The lifestyle, we need a lifestyle which is conducive to that mindset, right? Everything that we do in this life will be dedicated for that very purpose, because that is the human dharma, nothing else, right? Nothing else that we do, nothing else that we do in a life can be the goal of life, right? The only goal of a life is Paramatma, Paramapurusha, and our lifestyle should be conducive for that, right? If our lifestyle, if you're following the yogic lifestyle, then your mind will get elevated and you will be engaging in this path of realizing the infinite. But on the other hand, if your lifestyle is not conducive to this, if your lifestyle is not, you're not taking sattvic ahar, you're not engaging, you're not doing asanas, you're not ideating on the parabrahma, you're not doing sadhana, you're not doing any of those things, then that means your lifestyle is not conducive. Your lifestyle is not conducive for elevating the mind. Then obviously your mind will not be attracted to Paramapurusha. Your mind will only be attracted by the material things of the world, right? If such a person who is engaged in these material pursuits, and if he says, oh, I'm not having any attraction towards Paramapurusha, my mind, I get happiness only from all these material things, that is only because his eyes are covered, right? His eyes are covered, and that is why that person keeps getting the sukha and dukkha, and when he gets the dukkha, he is not able to handle it, and he completely, his mind falls down. And when the mind falls down, then automatically, then what happens is that he gets depression, then automatically he takes the wrong foods, and then he gets all the lifestyle related diseases and whatnot, and then complete destruction of human life, right? So even though that person thinks he's getting temporary happiness from all these material pursuits, but ultimately it is really a temporary happiness. He's not getting the lasting happiness, and ultimately it leads to one's downfall. But on the other hand, if a person engages in the yogic life, and then means he's creating a conducive environment for the mind to progress. So in that case, the mind progresses, the mind gets elevated, and in that situation, no matter what the life events are, the sukha and dukkha, his mind will always be steady, his mind will never fall down, his mind will always be calm, and it'll know what to do in every situation. And in that case, then mind is elevated and it is naturally progressing towards Paramapurusha. And somebody who is progressing to Paramapurusha will never get a downfall, right? That person's life will not be a waste. His whole life will not be a waste, and his life will not get destroyed, right, by anything. It'll be constantly progressing in that Brahma Bhava, right? So our goal of life is to keep the mind always related with its supreme entity, that entity which is guiding this whole universe, right? That very entity which is guiding this universe is also guiding you every minute of the day. You don't know, you're not realizing every minute of the day when you're doing some things in like you're doing in a Gupta Rupena, you're doing, right? You're thinking that nobody knows, right? But the thing is that Paramapurusha is watching everything, every single thing, every breath of yours Paramapurusha is watching. There is nothing that you can do without Paramapurusha's knowledge. Anything that you think only in your mind, you're thinking, oh, I'm thinking in my mind, nobody knows. Oh, it's a secret, it is only with me. There is nothing, there is no secret at all. There is nothing that can be hidden from Paramapurusha. Everything Paramapurusha knows. He is guiding this universe. Everything that is happening in this universe is according to his design. And the same thing, whatever is happening with you, everything is known to Paramapurusha. He is Sarvagya, he knows everything. So the goal of a yogi is to cultivate a relationship with that entity, to cultivate a personal relationship with that entity, cultivate a relationship of deep love for that Paramapurusha. So that is the backdrop for everything that we do in yoga. So whatever we do in yoga is about having that personal relationship with Paramapurusha, to having a relationship of prema with that Paramapurusha, that having a relationship of bhakti with that Paramapurusha. Paramapurusha is the ultimate goal of life, and to have that deep attraction. So it is like my Paramapurusha. He does not belong to anybody. He is my Paramapurusha. That kind of when in the Laukika world you say, oh, he's my child, he's my mother, he's my father, she's my mother, he's my father. That kind of that mamakara you have, right? That kind of mamakara you should have with Paramapurusha. You should feel that he is mine. He is mine. He doesn't belong to anybody. So just like a child, a mother who has like 10 children, And if you ask any child, the child will not say she's my brother's mother, or she's my elder brother's mother. The child will say, oh, she's my mother, she's my mother. So like that. So we are all the progeny of Parama Purusha, and when we refer to Parama Purusha, he is my Parama Purusha. He just belongs to me, right? So that kind of a deep relationship of love when you have, then automatically Parama Purusha will be forced. He'll be forced to elevate you. He'll be forced to help you progress further. He will be able to shower his kripa on you, right? That kind of a deep relationship you have to develop, and that is the spirit of yoga, right? So whatever we may discuss in our sessions, in our yogic life sessions, but we have to keep in mind that it is with that goal in mind we are implementing everything. So all these changes that we're talking about, lifestyle related changes that we're talking about, food and everything, it is all deeply involved with this, right? Because our entire body, that includes our brain and all the cells of our body, are made by the food that we eat, right? So the food that we eat has a profound impact on the vibration of all our cells, all our cells in the body, right? And the mind actually resides in the body. So mind, the human being is a mind predominant being, right? So we are mind predominant being. Manishyah man pradhanah jivah. Man pradhanah manasah pradhanyam, right? So so that is what a human being is. That is what is manishya. That is having the mind being predominant, and it resides in the body. So the mind resides in the body. It is deeply, the mind is linked with the brain, right? So the body and the brain and all of this is made from the food that we eat. So with that, keeping that in mind, we should take the food. So the food that we take has an impact on the cells of our body. It has an impact on the brain. It has an impact on the mind. So that is the way the yogi takes the food, right? This is the thought that he has in his mind. With this thought in his mind, that all the cells of my body are made from this food that I'm taking. Therefore, the food that I'm taking should be sattvic. So then the cells of the body also become sattvic. So when the cells of the body all become sattvic, then the mind also gradually becomes sattvic. It elevates, and then it is naturally getting inclined to Parama Purusha. It starts progressing in that path, right? So that is why it is every time you are putting the food in your mouth, this one question you should ask, right? Am I eating this food for taste, or am I eating this food for me to progress in my spiritual life, for the cells of my body to be sattvic, right? So somebody when they I think it was Vamsi Bhagini, when she came, no, I think it was Nikita Bhagini, this one Nityaji. So when she came and she shared her experience with us some time back, she said that one of the other person in the yogic shivir, so she said that there was this tamarind chutney, and Bhagini said that this tamarind chutney is so good, it tastes so good, and she asked the other person, are you not taking this tamarind chutney? So the other person actually said that I'm not taking it. I am not taking it. He said. Then she asked, why are you not taking it? So good. So then the other person replied, it is so good, that's why I don't want to take it, right? So that kind of thing that you have in your mind to say that is it just good for my taste bud, or is it really good for me, right? That kind of a question you need to ask every time you put something into your mouth. So when you do that, when you take the proper food, then it has a very, very deep positive impact, right? When we're taking that kind of a ahar, right? So with that we should take. So you will realize it's very beautiful. You'll realize the cells of your body all becoming sattvic, your mind becoming sattvic, right? So the mind is very, very the mind is satisfied. There is a tripti bhava in the mind. The body is also very satisfied. The body is happy with this food, right? There is nothing, no issues. So when you eat the wrong food, you will realize that you have a lot of issues. Your stomach is burning, or you're burping constantly, or you feel like that the food is coming back, it is taking a reverse direction and coming to your mouth. So all the things will completely go away. There is no gas, there is no burning, nothing. Digestion is going very well. The pachana shakti in the stomach is very good, and the whole body is very calm and shant, right? Your body is shant and your mind is also shant, right? So those are all the benefits of taking satvik ahar. If the body is not at peace with the food that you put in your mouth, then and after the food goes into your stomach, the body is not at peace, then the mind is also going to get impacted by that. So the mind is not going to be calm, right? So the mind gets agitated when you put food that is very, very burning, right? You put a lot of spicy food, oily food, your stomach is burning, your mind is also burning, you're getting agitated, it is having an agitative impact on your mind, right? Then when you eat such a kind of food, then you can see that you feel very angry and you feel like, oh my god, because your stomach is burning, you're feeling angry at everybody, right? So all those are the things that when you eat the wrong food. But when you eat the sattvic ahar, what happens is that the mind is very, very calm, right? So you're able to get through all the tasks in a more effective manner, right? And it is the body is also quiet and peaceful, mind is also quiet and peaceful, you're able to do everything what you're supposed to do, and also your mind is progressing, your attraction towards parama purusha is also slowly increasing, right? Therefore, by putting the wrong food into one's mouth, then it just creates a whole chaos in the body, right? The body has to deal with all kinds of stuff that it is not designed for, right? So so when you're eating a tamasic food or rajasic food, your body is not designed for it, right? So it is like having a, Mahodaya says, it's like having a Rolls Royce, and it is it is designed to run on gasoline, right? You have to give the proper gasoline, then only the car will run. But then if you give kerosene, then it's not going to run, right? So no matter how good the car is, if you put the wrong fuel, right, it's not going to run well. So you were born with a good body, right? You were born with a good body, the Paramapurusha gave you a good body, but then if you put the wrong fuel, and if the machine fails, then who is responsible? You can know that who is responsible. So this human body, this is beautifully designed by Paramapurusha. It's a very beautifully designed, everybody has this beautifully designed human body, everybody, right? But then if you put the wrong food in there, then it's not going to run well. So the food is very, very key, is very central to existence as yogis, as sadhakas. So we have actually spoken a lot about food, and so uh, uh, I encourage all of you to you might be thinking that I'm going on insisting on food, because food is very, very important. It's very important. So all of you try to experiment with the food, right, based on what we discussed so far. Okay, so Shirisha Bhagini, do you want to summarize the slide?
Absolutely. Here the thing is, our lifestyle and our body should be conducive to attain the infinity, which is the unique quality of our human beings. To attain that infinity, infinite consciousness, the synonym of Paramapurusha, our lifestyle should be conducive. Our lifestyle in the sense, the synonym of what we eat and what we do, it should be conducive. Then only we can attain that Paramapurusha, infinite consciousness. The thing is, while doing this, while doing this procedure, whatever the yogic lifestyle, while doing it, we will get that bliss while doing the procedure. And one more thing, the ultimate goal of a yogi is to attain the Paramapurusha. For that, we should eat properly in the sense, grains and whatever you say, whatever Bhagini said, grains, raw vegetables, raw fruits and beans, all those things. The food we eat impacts a lot, so we should be careful while eating food. Taste is, we should think when we are putting some food in our mouth, we should think first, not about the taste. Is it a progressive thing? is it driving you towards your spiritual goals? We should think of that, and we should start eating. Just don't put whatever the food is available in front of you in the mouth. You should be careful about that. If you want to attain that infinite consciousness, Paramapurusha, you should first and foremost thing, you should take care of your food. And one more thing is, as Bhagini mentioned, our mind resides in our body. So if we all are mind predominant beings, so we should be careful again about this is also about the food, but the food impacts a lot. So this is the to attain Paramapurusha, we should be careful while eating anything, what we are eating and how about those things.
Yes, very
तावत् क्षम्यतां धन्यवादः.
Okay, thank you so much for me. That was very, very nice, beautiful. So yes, so two key things is that we have to develop a relationship, a personal relationship with Paramapurusha, a relationship of love with Paramapurusha, bhakti, that is very important. And the second thing is that when we eat, we should always remember that the food that we are eating, is it just for taste that I'm eating, or is it really good for my body, right? So we should always think about that before we put something into our mouth. Those are two things that I want you guys to ponder upon, right? One is developing a relationship of bhakti with Paramapurusha, and second is being conscious of what food you put in your mouth. Those two things. So moving on, I've actually wanted to start the Nirjala Upavasa. So we can take this up next week. So Upavasa means Upa means near, Vasa means living. Upavasa means living near that very supreme consciousness, right? Living nearer than usual is called as Upavasa. You're living compared to the other days, you're living even closer, because now your body is not thinking about food or anything, because that day you're not going to get food, right? It is Nirjala Upavasa. So no food and no water, so for 36 hours. So how we do this Nirjala Upavasa, we'll be talking in the next class, because it is already time is up. So we'll be talking about this in the next class, how to do this Nirjala Upavasa, and also the process of breaking the fast, right? It is a very, very beautiful process. So it is like you have to clean your gut, like nobody has cleaned our gut since birth, right? We've always been eating and we have never cleaned the gut. So what is the process of cleaning the gut completely, right? So when the gut is not clean, that's when you get all diseases, right? So when you clean your gut, right, regularly, when you clean your gut, then your system is completely clean. Only we take bath outside to keep the body clean, but what about our inside? Have we ever cleaned our inside? So this Nirjala Upavasa process will tell you how to clean your gut inside, so that you're clean outside and inside. And when your gut is all cleaned up, then you don't get any diseases, right? So that what is the process to be followed for that, we'll be talking about it in the next class. Okay, so any questions or any thoughts? Okay, तर्हि धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः,
नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः.